Just a wrap up of and recap of last week before we go on to this week. I thought our guys played really hard on Saturday. You know, they've been prepping, they've been working, they did just a phenomenal job of kind of staying locked into the process through fall camp. I thought, you know, in fall camp there are days where, and the days can get long. You're competing against your offense day in and day out. And I thought our guys brought energy. They brought focus, a level of detail that was consistent throughout fall camp. And Coach Deboer said it best to the team the other day: "You get what you deserve." And I thought our players got what they deserve on Saturday in terms of their effort and focus, and those things were really good. Our keys to victory: we said we had to swarm tackle. We had to do a great job of these guys. You know, they force you to make space tackles, and I think for the most part we did that. There was a drive where we had a couple missed tackles on some critical third downs, and we got to get those things cleaned up, particularly in some vision coverage where our guys did not have their eyes on the quarterback, and so their feet weren't in the ground to drive on the ball once the ball was thrown. So we'll get those things cleaned up. We had to handle some of the tempo and the formations and all the and goes, and there's a lot of different screens and goes and all that stuff, trick plays. I thought we handled those things well early. We showed that we could handle some of their tempo early and their formations out of tempo early. You know, we really had to play a dominant style of defense up front in particular, and I thought our defensive line against the run, linebackers, safety support did a tremendous job throughout the game. We also were able to affect the quarterback in pass rush. We hit him early in the game, and I think that paid dividends as we started taking the ball away and getting off the field on third downs. And then also, as you got going, we didn't get, a number of sacks as the game went, but I thought we affected him. And I think we had maybe 4 pass breakups, right, coming from the D-line, guys getting their hands on the ball, tip balls in the area as well. I was really proud of our guys and their fight in the red zone. We went on a 22-play drive, which is never fun for a defense, but our guys did a really good job of staying focused during that time, and really, half the battle in the red zone is just finding the will to be able to fight when it matters most, and I thought our guys did that to be able to get a great fourth down stop down there. I thought the 2 takeaways early were positive, but I did not think we capitalized on takeaways as a defense. I thought we had opportunities to score on defense multiple times, and we did not make the most of those opportunities. We also had opportunities in the backfield. Sacks are great, but sack caused fumbles are way better, right, to get the ball back for our offense right there on the spot. So those are things that the guys have really been challenged. I did not think we met the standard of what we're capable of as a defense there. And so I hope to see a response in our players just in terms of their intentionality to take the ball away. Punching, raking at the ball, all those types of things did not show up to the level that I think we're capable of. So we will make that a huge point of emphasis moving on this week. It's critical that our players manage their time well. This is the first actual week, right, of the season where you have a Sunday to a Saturday. There's a finite amount of hours, and there is a finite amount of work that has to be done, and the work is the work. And if you don't stay ahead, all right, you start falling behind on a Tuesday and Wednesday practice, and then that shows up on Saturday. So our guys got to do a tremendous job getting ready for that. Looking ahead to South Florida, I think this is a team that is very well coached. I think they have a great identity in what they do, particularly with their offense. Alex Golish, I've known for a number of years. I think he does a tremendous job. Those guys are very detailed in what they do in the run game. They have a lot of volume in the run game. They do a number of things in terms of finding space in their passing game. They create space with lateral alignments. You're going to see those big wide splits that we've seen over the last couple of years from this style of offense, and then find different windows in the passing game, be it through the drop back play action or through the RPOs. And so we've got our work cut out for us. I think this quarterback is dynamic. with his feet. He showed that a year ago to us, that he can extend plays, particularly in passing downs with his feet. And so we've got to do a tremendous job of containing him this week. So it'll be a great challenge for our players, and one that we're all looking forward to preparing for. So with that, I'll take questions.
You made a ton of substitutions against Western Kentucky, not just on the DL, which is normal, but the linebackers, the DBs. Did you kind of go into the game with a mindset that you wanted to be able to put some grades on a high number of guys?
Yeah, I think there's different levels of substitution as the game went on. Right, we felt like as we moved into the second half, the game was in hand, and so you certainly want to get some younger players involved in the game during that time. I think players that showed through fall camp that they could be trusted, that they were what we would call above the line to be able to go in during meaningful snaps in the game. There were players that we knew, younger guys, right, that may make mistakes, but they need to be able to work through those mistakes. And so I think as a staff, it's really important early that you push yourself to be able to get players in games. Because if you don't, right, they can't learn and grow from those experiences as the season goes on, and we're going to need those younger players to continue to elevate their game as the season goes on, and they can only do that if they get some reps. So certainly we're going to try to get people in the game, but we're never going to put a player in that has not shown that he is above the line. When you're taking meaningful snaps.
Stay on the right side. Let's go, Charlie. Second row.
Yeah, hey, Coach. I want to ask about Qua Russaw. Just what did he show you to not only earn the start on Saturday, but play a bunch of snaps?
Yeah. I thought, Qua, so workmanlike in the way he goes about his business. He's not a real vocal guy on the team, but he's a great teammate. Has really kind of leaned into what we're doing from a defensive standpoint with that wolf position. There's a lot of things that we ask that guy to do. He's got to play off the edge. He's got to play in the box as an inside stand-up kind of move around backer. He's got to drop out in coverage. And so there's a lot of things that we're asking that guy to do, and I think Qua is a very well-rounded individual. He's gifted from a physical standpoint in terms of his ability to run. He can make space tackles. He can also set an edge at the point of attack. And so just his versatility, I think, coupled with the way that he was able to handle our scheme and all the things that we were going to try to do against Western Kentucky in particular, I thought he was very impressive in the first game.
Far right, front row, Nick.
Yeah, Zabien Brown getting the start. I mean, obviously you guys have spoken well of him all preseason, but what do you see from him in this one? What did he ultimately do to earn that opportunity?
Well, not just Zabien, right, but, a number of those other young players played meaningful snaps in the game, which was impressive. Zabien, I think Maurice Lindquist has done a tremendous job with those young defensive backs and getting those guys prepared. That's a hard transition to make in 8 months, to go from playing high school ball, right, to playing at this level in college. And so I think those guys were very consistent in their process. They were very detailed. When they made a mistake, they would work to get it fixed. Zabien probably from the start of spring ball all the way through fall camp, I thought was the most consistent in terms of fixing issues as they came, consistent in his fundamentals, his approach every single day. And I thought, really he was well deserving to be able to go out there as one of the first 11 to represent our defense. So very proud of the work that he's put into. The challenge to those younger players is they cannot stay the same. They have to continue to elevate their game, their level of focus. One of the great things about, it's a great thing, but it's also a challenging thing in terms of setting standards and expectations. Those standards continue to raise as the season goes on, and so those younger players will have to continue to elevate their game in order to compete at the level that we're going to need them to as we maneuver through the season.
Far left, Tony.
James Smith seemed pretty disruptive in the middle. What did you see from him, and how much strides has he made heading into his second season?
Yeah, I think I think James has really taken some great leaps in terms of his consistency and what we're doing, playing within the framework of the scheme. I think coming out of spring football, there was too much inconsistency in his game. We really challenged him in the offseason to live within the framework of the defense. He always is going to make plays. He's a special playmaker. He's got that knack, which is what you want to see, right? Then you just have to build some consistency within those things. And I thought, the level of growth from him in that 3-month window from when we finished 8A to when we came into fall camp, I thought he took really great ownership with that. Freddie Roach did a tremendous job as well in that regard. So very pleased with him. Think he's taken steps in the right direction. And again, when you have a guy like that that's a playmaker, you want to get those type of players on the field.
We have time for just 2 more questions. We'll start with Mike here.
I think the TV broadcast mentioned an injury to DaShawn Jones, and maybe that's why he didn't play as much. Is that true in terms of maybe his hamstring being banged up, I think, on that?
Yeah, Day was battling a little bit this week with a little ding, and so we wanted to be cautious with him, but we felt like there was enough there that he felt good enough on game day that he could go. He had not gotten as many practice reps during the week of preparation, and so we expect him to make a full recovery this week.
I'll finish up on the left with Steven.
Coach, among those young players, how did you feel like Red Morgan performed when he got out there, especially in coverage and making tackles also?
Yeah, I thought, Red, again, is another example of those younger player that got out there, took meaningful snaps in the game, right? And really thought communicated pretty well for the most part. I thought, from a fundamental standpoint, he was relatively consistent. Those things have to grow, right, as you maneuver throughout the season. But one of the things that is exciting about Red is just he did not play hesitant. He pulled the trigger when he needed to. He played fast. And when you have somebody like Red, he's very bouncy. He's very athletic, right? He's very active. He's got a high motor, and that's the type of player that we need to see as he continues to just build more consistency in his game. So I was pleased with what we saw from him first week.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys. Roll Tide.
Coach Sheridan, we'll begin with the opening statement, and we'll take questions from Coach.
Thanks everybody for being here. Obviously excited, for another opportunity to compete, for our group to improve and get better. Going against another, program that I have familiarity with. I know Coach Golish. I know the toughness that he coaches with, and I know the detail that he emphasizes with his team. Have a lot of respect for Coach Orlando and the defensive coordinator. He's very accomplished. He's very well respected in our profession, and so I know it'll be another tremendous challenge for us. And like I said, I have familiarity with the program and the pride that they have, and the coaches on their staff, and the quality of coaches that they are. So be another great challenge for us, and looking for us to improve from week 1 to week 2. Fire away.
Thanks, Coach. Let's go back right side, Jamie.
Hey, Coach, what have you seen from Ryan Williams? No debut like that won't get to his head.
Well, I mean, he certainly has received a lot of attention, throughout his recruitment, and even prior to him actually playing a game here. And so the thing that I would say is he's been the same person, since the day we met him. He's always, he loves football. He loves to work. He's willing to be coached. And so, I think he's hungry to go continue to build off of what he did in the first game. And so I don't envision that being an issue. And he's a great kid and loves football and loves to be coached. And so, we're excited to try to help him get better. And I know Coach Shep's excited to coach him tomorrow.
Stand on the right side of Matt.
I can kind of guess your answer if I ask for an injury status update on Kadyn Proctor, but what do you think of Elijah stepping into that spot?
I thought he did a nice job. I think, we have confidence in the guys in that room, and you have to be ready when you're called upon. And, Coach Cap does an awesome job, as, you have to, as you cross-train. You train guys at multiple spots, left, right, inside, outside, because you want to make sure that you get your best 5 guys out there, no matter what the circumstances are. And so it's not the first time Pritch has played left tackle. Obviously he's had a lot of reps at that previously. He hasn't had as much, lately. But I thought he did a nice job. He showed toughness. And for him, unexpectedly to have to go in there, I thought he did a nice job.
Jump to the left side in front row to Katie.
You just talked about improvising. Just what was it like for you on Saturday night when you've been preparing all season to be in the box and had to come down to the field at the last minute and just dealing with that whole situation?
Yeah, that was a first, for all of us. I've called games before on the field. I don't think that was but normally when you're going to do that, you're preparing for it. You might mark up your call sheet a little bit different. But I think in those moments, you're just trying to provide calmness to the people around you, let the players know that it's just fine, and you just adjust, you adapt. You prepare so much for all the different, things that may come up in the game, but you also recognize there's going to be times where you have to adjust and adapt and be flexible. You don't necessarily think you're going to be going up and down in the box to the field, but it was just what was required at that time, and so you just do it, and we all have a job to do each and every day, and you try to do the very best you can in that role, just like we asked the players, and so that was really all there was to it. It was really more so, was it going to get fixed and so just stay put, or no, it's not, and come down. And so that was really more the conversation, is like, how long were the headsets going to be out, and could you just kind of wait it out up in the box until they fixed it? But obviously we thought that they'd be down maybe longer than they were, and so you just hit the elevator, went down a couple floors, and walked out of the stadium. I thought the fans were great. It was rocking. It was, so all good.
Back on the right, Ryan.
Coach, I know you weren't part of the team last year, but a lot of the people were against USF. What did you see in that game? How much are you using that game? Or are you kind of saying this is a new team, obviously a new quarterback that's playing on your side?
Well, I think there's lessons learned, from everybody on, previous experiences. But it's certainly, that was early in the season last year. This is a new group of players. They have a new group, of players of their own. And so, similar coaches, obviously, for them, so I'm sure they'll be watching the film on things that they felt, versus certain people that maybe they had success with. And we're evaluating that. But there was a lot of film after that game as well for us to digest and try to, predict how we think that they're going to try to play us. And so I think you take it all into account. But you also know that every game is a new game. Every season's a new season. And so, what has happened in the past has no impact on what will happen Saturday. It'll be ultimately about the team that plays the best. And so that's what we're really focused on.
Go back over to the left side to Steven.
Obviously, Coach would have loved to have seen more, but just the efficiency of Milroe in his first game. Can you talk about that there?
I thought he did a nice job. I think obviously he was very explosive, and, the thing that I enjoyed, or I was proud of him, was just the communication, between series, what he saw. I thought he saw the game very clearly. We talked about all week with the group, not just Jalen, but the whole team, is improve as the game goes on, and the communication that occurs between series to try to just get better, see how they're going to try to play you, be able to adjust, be able to adapt. And so I was really proud of that. I thought he was calm. He was poised. I thought he was competitive. I thought he showed toughness. It wasn't, a ton of snaps. Obviously, there was, some short scoring drives. And so, but I was proud of how he played. And I know he'll tell you there's still room for growth, which is exciting. And this is really the fun part for coaches, is that you go play a game and you see what you need to work on. You think certain areas where you think the guy's got it, and then it shows up in the game, and maybe it's not quite the habit that you want. And so we're excited to get back on the grass tomorrow.
Go to Mike here on the right side of the room.
You had 2 other quarterbacks get into the game too, Ty and Dylan. Just what did you see from them? Obviously, Dylan didn't throw a pass, but just the operation.
I thought they were clean. I thought they communicated well. By and large, made the right decisions. There was a couple that we'd like to learn from, but that was the first experience for me with all the guys in our room as far as seeing them compete and being out on the grass, in a game environment. And I was proud of them. I thought they, like I said, they communicated well. They had poise. They led their groups. They moved the ball when they were in there, and ultimately that's their job as quarterbacks. They used their legs. I thought they played football, and it was good to see. I was happy that they both got a chance to get in the game.
Going back to Jalen, when you're watching film of him when you come in, how did you see him kind of progress over the course of the season after this game last year, this USF game?
I wasn't here for that, and so it's a little bit difficult for me to kind of give you a big picture, on what that looked like. I wasn't here. I wasn't a part of that journey for him. Certainly we've had conversations about lessons that he's learned along his journey, just like I've told him about things that I've grown, in when I was a player, as a coach, you name it. I mean, that's the type of relationship that you're always trying to build and create, so that you have that relationship built on trust, and you can communicate about things that you've been through, and how you got where you are. So it's hard for me to say specifically as far as how he improved or what that looks like. We're just focused on just trying to be better this week than we were last week, and that's really where all of our attention is right now.
We have time for a few more questions. We'll jump on the left side to Tony.
Back to the elevator improvisation. How long does it take you to get from the coaching box to the elevator? And obviously, you guys were able to learn that while they had the ball. Do you have a plan in place for if that was to happen? If you guys had the ball, if you're trying to get down there, is there somebody, does Deboer step in and make the calls, or how does that work?
Yes. I wouldn't say we spend a ton of time on the headsets going down and me getting stuck in the elevator. It wasn't that long. Most people were in the seats, so there wasn't too many people on the elevator. But we'll be okay, I guess. I mean, we'll be prepared for it next time if that happens. I get stuck in the elevator.
Go Chase on the right side here.
I'm kind of piggybacking off an earlier question here about Jalen, but obviously it's pretty unusual for a starting quarterback to only throw 9 balls and you score 63 points. He was efficient for sure, but just from an evaluation standpoint, did you watch film and think, man, I wish I could sink my teeth into more than 9 throws here?
No, I mean, we're just trying to win. That's really all we're focused on. And I think there was lots to learn from, even in the plays that he had. And that's true. We're mindful of that with not just Jalen, but all the guys as you're trying to get snaps in a game environment. And so we were mindful of that. Obviously we just had some short scoring drives. And so not just him, but a lot of the guys didn't have as many snaps as maybe you would anticipate in a game. So, no, I mean, I thought he played great, and there's things to work on. There's reads, footworks that he can clean up. He sees that. He acknowledges that. He's excited about the opportunity to work and continue to grow and get better. I'm excited for the chance to coach him. So, no, we're not, disappointed in the fact that he only had 9 attempts. It's just kind of how the game played out.
Finish up with Nick here on the right.
Yeah, so when you were able to use the helmet comms, how was that experience, the first game action with that?
I thought by and large it was clean. I think there was some communication that we could do better collectively, certainly starting with me and then through the staff and through the players. I think that's pretty typical of most first games where, there was a moment here or there where maybe you didn't, quite communicate as efficiently as you'd like or move as quickly as you would like. But by and large, I thought the guys did a nice job. I think we had 1 false start, for an opener. We had a couple holding calls, but we had to burn a timeout early in the first half, which was, you'd like not to have to do that. And so there's reasons for those things. There's things that you address both as a staff and as the players on just trying to eliminate those things moving forward. But for the most part, for our first game, I thought it was relatively clean from a communication standpoint. Okay, thank you. Roll Tide.
Joined by head coach Kalen Deboer. We'll have Coach begin with his opening statement, and then we'll take questions.
All right, good morning. Hope we all had a great weekend and working on this Monday, huh? But it was a good weekend for us, and felt good to finally get on the field. Talked a lot about it, and I think you guys were running out of questions to ask at some point here because it was the same ones and not much to go off of with all the new staff. But it was good to get out there on the field, and I thought really pleased with the way our guys just sustained the energy. I'm not talking about just during the game, but really all week long, and got more and more excited. And then just really from the beginning to the end, a lot of focus. You know, we got a lot of guys on the football field, and really felt like they were all ready to go. And again, never going to be perfect, but and a lot of things we can work on. But I appreciate, you know, just where we're at right now, and it kind of tells us where we're at and what we need to be taking to the practice field here this week. But you know, a lot of different things popped up. I think maybe even a question or two has been asked just about the communication and how that headset thing all went down at the beginning. That was something, you know, you've had crackles and you've had times where it goes down for maybe 3 seconds, but just really having to change things up there, that was new. I think by play 2, we had our left tackle, left guard, and center all out of the game for play 2. So some interesting moments in there, but, you know, just guys really worked through it, just keeping their poise. That includes coaches, you know, Coach Sheridan having to come down from the press box and then go back up and trying to figure out if you're going to get caught, you know, caught in the middle of that. And, you know, we'll be fine that way. It's just there is a lot of communication that does happen, you know, not just from him to the signalers, but others as well, just getting personnel in the field. So we were fine. We were fine. It's just different than the normal protocol. So I think, you know, red zone, different parts of the game that we really excelled in was good to see. 4 for 4 offensively. Took a knee there at the end, and then defensively, you know, not giving up any scores on 2 attempts when they got in the red zone. The 2 takeaways early with Keon were really big with the momentum. Really, you know, got the crowd going in kind of about 10 or 15 minutes, whatever it was, where we take the field and everyone's ready to go, and then all of a sudden that delay in the action. So Keon's takeaways and a sack there early really got that momentum and energy back to our whole football team. So really pleased with where we're at week 1, and looking forward to making those big steps that I think usually exist going from week 1 to week 2.
All right, thank you, Coach. Start on the front here, right, Nick.
Yeah, 2 if I can. First, what did the prognosis show for Kadyn Proctor? And also, when you watch the film of the offensive line, what did you see in terms of things you really liked and things to improve on?
Sure. You know, Kadyn's got a shoulder situation there. It's one that we will be able to manage, and so that's a positive. And it was just something as we go through the week that we'll just continue to evaluate. And, you know, it probably won't be something early on here we'll be rolling with, but as the week goes on, be something we can continue to evaluate and be hopeful for. When it comes to the offensive line and this, you know, the way they executed, I mean, I give Elijah a lot of credit. You know, has maybe played just a couple practices early in camp at left tackle, and for the most part was at right tackle. And you know, I think, you know, he and Book took some pride in really trying to, you know, have a great game there, and you know, kind of rise up in the midst of that adversity. There's, you know, the big touchdown to Justice where we pulled both the right side, right guard, right tackle. That was fun to see, because I thought there was some physicality on the front side, you know, and then the pull, doing a good job of adapting to what the defense was doing, and the trust that I think exists is probably something that's undervalued. The trust from the first puller to the second puller, and also the second puller to our tailback with Justice carrying the ball. So, you know, that comes through repetition, that comes through talking about it. You know, protection-wise, they got to us early, you know, with this 1 sack. But for the most part, I think our quarterbacks really felt comfortable back there. There was times where we picked up the protection, and I know Jalen had that explosive run there when we were deep in our own territory. That's, a tribute to the offensive line and our tailback all doing their jobs, Jalen trusting it, and when the seas parted, kind of abort the pass attempt and go take off and use your legs, and that's what I love to see from him on that play.
Stay on the right, Charlie.
You've mentioned how you watched all of Jalen's games last year. Just how did you see him progress after the South Florida game over the course of the season last year?
How did he? Okay, I see. From last year's game at this point, yeah. I thought being decisive at the end of the season was something that I was really, wanting to make sure he carried over. Just playing ball, finding ways to move the chains. You get so caught up in this play, you're supposed to read it right to left, or you're supposed to read the safety, and there's so many things with checks. And then there's a point where you just got to go play ball. And I think that that's something that he just got more and more accustomed to, and I felt like that was what he did on Saturday. There wasn't a lot of opportunities. He didn't take that many snaps. He threw it less than 10 times, and so not a big sample size there. But when he did have those opportunities, I thought he took off. I love the touchdown pass to K-Law, where he stepped up, was decisive, had his eyes downfield. He can run with the football, but hit the eyes of the defense being on him, flipping it out there and making a really accurate pass. And again, those are things that are undervalued. K-Law being able to attack the ball and hit it on the run, kind of having a feel of where the defense was at. There's people at his legs, K-Law's legs. And so that's the difference between a 6, 7, 8, 10-yard gain and a touchdown. So just little subtleties like that, I think, were things I was impressed with Jalen. And, couple times here and there. You only had 2 incompletions, and so you're really getting down to what can we have done on those 2 incompletions. Communication, just always trying to make that better. I thought it was really good, but always trying to make it better. Communication to the line, all the way across the board. Coming on the sideline, I really enjoyed getting with him on the sideline. Thought he was really locked in. The iPads and all of that. I really thought he utilized that to his advantage along with the rest of our staff, both sides of the ball. Really kind of a game changer when you look at it, and getting that instant feedback, that instant information to confirm what you thought happened and be on the same page and be able to move forward. So, again, some good steps, obviously early in the season.
Katie on the left front row.
Kane talked about how important it was going to be for guys to have to manage their time this week, with this being the first kind of real game week, Sunday to Saturday. Just for most of the guys, it being different, having the Sunday practice, just kind of how did you see them respond to that yesterday, or kind of what was it like them starting their game weeks?
Yeah, I think, early would be this fall camp or even the summer when kind of I showed them the schedule of what a normal week would look like. They're kind of maybe wondering what Sunday was going to be all about, but I think they went through it and really, felt good about putting last week's game kind of to bed, it being over, and getting a little bit of work in, even kind of maybe just a couple things that they can identify when they're watching film now that we threw at them or showed them yesterday, just real late in the day. And so, I think they feel like they probably got a head start, and now today's a day where, they're off their feet and really kind of getting their bodies back to where tomorrow morning you turn around, you got a lot of good energy. And so I think they see the way the schedule comes together now to benefit them. And doesn't mean that you can't do it other ways, but that's just how we make it all work together.
Stay on the left here, Ryan. Go ahead.
Coach, evaluate Wilkin Formby getting his first start right tackle.
Yeah, I thought Wilkin, I saw some energy and some excitement out of him. We had some big plays there, and love that. He's, I thought from a game standpoint, very pleased with the steps I feel like he's taken since not just even spring ball, but even through fall camp. It's always about progress, right? It's always about improving, and he is certainly doing that. He's raising his level of physicality, he's raising his level of communication and talking and being on the same page with Jaden next to him. And so, I thought there was physicality. I think there was some, I used the word decisiveness with the quarterback. I felt like he was very decisive and really never looking uncomfortable on, okay, I'm supposed to block this guy, or, assignment-wise. Coach Cap, I think, had all those guys really locked in, and Wilkin would have been a part of that. So good place to start the season with his effort and execution here after week 1.
Back over to the right side, Matt.
Have you seen any extra level of energy from some of the guys who were back from last season for this game after what was almost a disaster last year?
You talking about disaster last year? You talking about the USF game, or we haven't. I think there's a piece they probably remember, but I didn't experience that with them, and so it's not like I'm really drawing on that. Reminding them that it was a closer game, and that falls in line with what one of our pieces of our program is, to respect all and fear none. And so that respect factor was there this last week. It's going to be there again this week, and I'm sure that there are certain guys that went through that, as you're suggesting, that have that a different type of determination on top of what we're trying to do with this 2024 team. But I think we're really trying to make it about this season, this team, and trying to take the next steps that are necessary here going into week 2.
Go to the left side, Tony.
We don't see very many jersey alterations around here. What was the decision to put the C's on the captain's jerseys, and did you get any pushback from maybe some of the real traditional boosters or fans or anything from that?
I haven't, because they probably hadn't seen it and known about it till the game, right? So, but that still hasn't happened since. I think the tradition before, right, was more of the captains at the end of the year. So there was something that you weren't going to do during the season. Just kind of something that I've done wherever I've been. We have a unity group, a leadership group. Met with them real briefly here this morning, and just kind of going over the whole week, the weekend, anything that they just wanted to add, where they felt we were at with our mindset in particular. But then you have your captains, and I mentioned before that I thought the team did a great job, and I think it's an honor to be a captain. And along with that, I've always liked to have understood through the C on the jersey, which I think is really cool for those guys to be able to wear.
Stay on the left side with Steven.
Coach, to get 3 running backs into the end zone, what confidence does that do for the offensive line and also that whole running back room?
Yeah, and a couple of them were explosive plays, so I think it's confidence all around. It's confidence that the offensive line will make those seams for you, and the jams play, just a lot of chaos happening out there with our guys hitting blocks and moving people, and jam hitting that seam, and just both goes both ways. If we get our job done offensive line wise, the tailback's going to do his. If I read it right as a tailback, the offensive line's going to fit the blocks up right. So that's running for 300 plus yards. That's something that I don't take lightly. And it's tailbacks, it's Jalen, both quarterbacks actually, did a nice job when their time came to go make plays. And so there's a lot of threats. People, I think, have talked a lot about our threats on the outside, and how that's going to look, and that will continue to evolve as we get more opportunities to throw the ball. But it all, the game was meant to be played one way. You wear pads for a reason. It's because it's a physical game, and so running the football is really important.
We got 2 in the back room on the right. Let's start with Jamie, and then we'll go to Ryan.
Hey, Coach, did Saban reach out to you after the game? And if so, what did he say? And also, I know the priority is on the game itself, but how much are you looking forward to the Saban Field dedication?
Yeah, it's we talked actually before the game. He gave me a call on Thursday, and that was really cool for the guys. And he wanted me to pass along that he's thinking about him and wishing him the best. I'm going to be rooting for him, and you can just tell how much he cares about not just the program but the individuals within it. So wanted to make sure I passed that along, because I think that was important for them to hear, important from both ends. And so and it's going to be an awesome night, having the field named in honor of Coach, and that's really something special. It's one of those things where you're going to play in it and what's happening, but being a part of the ceremony is something the team really can't do. We're in the middle of probably pregame meal and some of those type of prep work, but just to have that, the whole honor for Coach Saban, everything he's done here. I know how much that will mean to him, and it's something that I know we have a lot of respect for, and going to make sure that we continue to do everything we can to make it our house and protect our field here on out, just like it's been in the 17 years that he was here.
Ryan, go ahead.
She took my question. Coach, the long ball with Ryan Williams, 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. Obviously, you want to see that. Do you ever worry about a home run ball? And when stuff gets hard, in the past, maybe stuff gets hard and you can't make those short passes because you rely on the home run ball. What's your thought on that as the season progresses?
Yeah, no, I mean, that's just part of the progression. And the progression took Jalen to Ryan. That's not the beginning of the progression on the first touchdown, and in particular, well, both of them. It was a later part of the progression, and that says a lot about a lot of things. It says that the line did a good job protecting and giving him time with our tailback, and then in both of those routes concepts, Jalen really working through the read and working till the very end. It might not have been the very last on one of them, but it says a lot, just thinking about Jalen and getting to Ryan, especially on the second touchdown. That's coming across the middle, putting it where it needed to be. Confidence, as a receiver when you're running across the middle like that your quarterback's, not going to put you in a bad spot, so Ryan can just focus on the football, and then breaking tackles too. 2 guys right there. So I don't feel like we rely on the long ball. I don't feel like that's what our offense is about. I feel like it's a progression, but there are usually big play opportunities that are built within almost really most of the concepts that we have, and situational stuff too. You're trying to move the sticks and you only need a few yards. Maybe there's not as many balls that are going to go down the field. That's just situational awareness for our quarterback and also our play caller. But we want that. We want that threat. We want the defensive coordinator, the defensive side of the ball that we're facing, to always be fearful of someone could get down the field behind them, and that helps us stretch both horizontally and vertically the coverage that we're seeing.
We got time left for just 2 more questions, so we're going to start on the left here with Joe.
Coach, South Florida's known for its tempo. What's going to be the team's approach, and how are you preparing for that this Saturday?
Yeah, we saw changes of tempo this last week, and that's something that we'll be certainly focused on. It's hard to simulate that in practice. We do have, I think, different ways you can do that within your scout team, and communication, substitutions. You got to be really on your game as a coaching staff, and the players being ready to find those opportunities where you can sub in, whether it's a different package or just someone needing a breather. And then being able to get your cleats in the dirt and being able to be ready to, when the ball snap, get off the ball. That's I think when we were, which was most of the game, able to do that, we got a consistent pass rush and really felt like we executed well. There was a couple times where we didn't have that, and we recovered. We kind of overwhelmed them sometimes this last week, but we need to make sure just we're always ready to play. And you need to get that first step on guys, and so that's what a tempo is trying to do. It's trying to catch you off guard. It's trying to not let you play fast or tire you out. And Coach Wommack, he's seen it, and he's very experienced. So is our staff. They'll all do a good job of preparing the guys this week.
Ariel, all the way in the back.
Coach, after you post a shutout win, both sides of the ball doing their jobs, but I wanted to ask you about the specialists, and what did you think about those guys on how to continue growing, specifically with the punt and kickoff return?
Yeah, that was, Burnup's just had a really good fall, all in all, and it did not surprise me that he was over 50 yards per kick. Did a nice job all night long. The snaps were all really good. Made all our kicks, the coverage units and everything. Got more touchbacks even as the game was going on. So I think our guys just got more comfortable. That was across the board, but it's specialists, especially the new ones that are, the kicking piece that maybe haven't played in Bryant Denny before. Those guys getting more and more comfortable. Those are valuable reps for them. So even just extra points and just feeling what it's like, the depth perception and all that comes along with each stadium, but there should be a home field advantage piece to playing in your own. So all that stuff I thought was done at a high level, and so they've worked hard for it, and we expect big things out of them all year long. Awesome, thank you. Roll Tide.